I would recommend teaching your kids to use actual critical thinking, to think for themselves, and to be willing to pursue the truth wherever the evidence takes them. Teach them to be critical, to be skeptical, to not settle for the easy answer or the answer that makes them feel the best or the answer that requires the least amount of effort on their part. Teach them to question authority, but also teach them to recognize genuine expertise. Teach them to not let their reasoning be guided by their personal preference for one conclusion over another. And teach them not to become dogmatically attached to their conclusion once they reach it. What seems like the right answer now might look different in a few years when they encounter new evidence or a better argument. Teach them to be open to re-examining their beliefs. And teach them that a skeptic should be most skeptical of themselves. Not just their conscious beliefs, but their biases, their blind spots, their implicit assumptions. Skepticism isn't something that should only be directed outward at other people or other groups. Self-reflection is important. And the other good suggestion is to teach your kids about religions and worldviews other than Christianity. Not so they can make a note of all the ways in which Christianity is different and therefore better, but so they can come to appreciate the breadth and variety of religion and the important role it plays in human cultures. Teach them to recognize when religion is used as an excuse to justify prejudice and intolerance and other abuses, but also teach them to recognize when religion functions as a way of calling people to something higher, to be charitable, to be compassionate, to be vigilant against injustice and inequality. In other words, teach them to recognize how people use religion, how people use religion as an excuse to be better people, how people use religion as an excuse to keep right on being the shitty people that they were to begin with. Teach them to notice what various world religions have in common with each other in their myths, in their rituals, and also to notice the differences that the various different religious traditions attempt to impart meaning and purpose to life. Teach them to read the Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Avesta, the Tipitaka, and other religious texts, and appreciate them for their literary value and for the insights they provide into the history and culture of the people who wrote them. The Bible in particular is a very rewarding and endlessly fascinating book, and the King James Bible especially ought to be of interest to anyone who studies English literature or who wants to be a writer in English. But all that interesting stuff, all that complexity is crushed out of it when we flatten the Bible and teach it as the perfect Word of God, and we instruct people to view it as that and only that, and to interpret it in light of that dogmatic conclusion. This is the Word of God. Everything in here is true. And the same goes for other religious scriptures. Study them. Seek to understand them as what they are, which are products of human imagination, creativity, guile, ambition, deceit. They're human products, and they reflect humanity in all of our greatness, all of our glory, and all of our avarice and our greed and our ambition and our fear and our ignorance.